crushing it on the court, leading the league in points generated, and your team's gone 14-6 in the last 20 games. You'd think that's MVP material, right? Well, not according to the WNBA. They just left Caitlin Clark off the MVP ladder. Let's talk about why that's a big mistake. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Caitlin Clark isn't just any rookie, she's the superstar that's got everyone talking. Playing for the Indiana Fever, she's been lighting up scoreboards and making jaws drop. You know what's crazy? She's doing things even seasoned pros can't do. But here's the kicker, the WNBA just released their MVP ladder, and Clark's name is nowhere to be found. That's like leaving LeBron off the list in his prime. It doesn't make sense. So, are you ready to dive into why this snub is so shocking? We're about to break down Clark's insane stats, compare her to legends, and show you why she deserves that MVP spot. This is David versus Goliath, WNBA style. Let's go! You've heard of rookies making a splash, but what about one who's making tsunamis?
Second, because she got 2 in the first quarter against Connecticut. Clark on a 3. Clark a 3. It is good. Second 3 of the quarter for Caitlin Clark.
They need to be disciplined. Just 2 personal fouls here through 3 quarters. Dejanay has taken a new step.
Clark lays an E, and the little hesitation works.
Caitlin Clark isn't just playing well for a first-year player, she's dominating the league like a seasoned pro. How is she stacking up against the all-time greats? Let's break it down. Clark's been on fire since the All-Star break, averaging over 25 points per game. That's not rookie numbers, that's superstar territory. But here's the kicker, she's not just scoring. Clark is leading the entire league in points generated. That means she's not only putting the ball in the hoop herself, but she's also setting up her teammates for success. Now, let's talk about legends. Remember Candace Parker's rookie season in 2008? It was incredible, right? Well, Clark is making it look like child's play. She's dishing out more assists, snagging more steals, and draining more three-pointers per game than Parker did. And her free throw percentage, it's higher too. Oh, and did I mention she's scoring more points overall? But it's not just about individual stats. Clark's impact on her team is undeniable. The Indiana Fever have gone 14-6 in their last 20 games. That's a massive turnaround, and Clark's fingerprints are all over it. She's not just padding her stats, she's leading her team to victories. You know what's wild? Clark's performance isn't just good for a rookie, it's MVP caliber by any standard. She's not just keeping up with the veterans, she's outpacing them. We're watching a player who's redefining what's possible in her first year in the league. Think about it, Clark is doing things that even established stars struggle to achieve. She's not just living up to the hype, she's exceeding it, and she's doing it with a consistency that's rare for any player, let alone a rookie.
But Cowan, who couldn't finish, behind the back again for Clark, give her another assist.
Clark working on Van Loo. Oh, Clark, pretty step back, hits a 3.
Lineup I'm talking about with Katie Lou Samuelson at the 4.
Clark bounce pass it, Smith again.
But here's the real question. If Clark is outperforming legends and leading her team to victory, why isn't she in the MVP conversation? It's not just about the numbers, though those are impressive enough. It's about the impact she's having on the game, on her team, and on the league as a whole. Clark's absence from the MVP ladder is turning heads. But here's the real shocker. What if this snub exposes a bigger problem in how we define value in the WNBA? Let's break down the current MVP race. We've got players like Aja Wilson and Sabrina Ionescu leading the pack. They're incredible athletes, no doubt. But something's off when the league's top scorer and assist leader isn't even in the conversation. So what's going on here? The MVP award is supposed to recognize the most valuable player, right? But how do we measure that value? Is it just about individual stats, team success, or something more? Here's the thing, the MVP selection process isn't as clear-cut as you might think. It's not just a numbers game. There's a lot of subjectivity involved. As one expert put it, the MVP award is subjective. It's very hard to just go by numbers and hand out this award. There are so many different ways that you can interpret this MVP award. That's where things get tricky. Some people argue that the MVP should go to the player with the best stats. Others say it should be about who has the biggest impact on their team's success. And that's where Clark's case gets interesting. Sure, Clark's putting up insane numbers, but she's also completely transformed her team. The Fever went from bottom feeders to playoff contenders with Clark leading the charge. That's value you can't always see in a stat sheet, but here's where it gets really wild. What if the current MVP criteria are missing something crucial? What if they're not capturing the full picture of what makes a player truly valuable? Think about it. Clark's doing things we've never seen from a rookie before. She's breaking records left and right, but because she's new to the league, or maybe because her team isn't a traditional powerhouse, she's getting overlooked. This isn't just about Clark though, it's about how we evaluate talent in the WNBA. Are we too focused on traditional metrics? Are we missing out on recognizing game-changing players because they don't fit the usual mold? The debate around MVP selection isn't new. It happens in the NBA too. Every year there's controversy about who deserves the award and why. But Clark's situation feels different. It's like she's exposing flaws in the system that we didn't even know were there. So what if Clark's snub is actually a wake-up call? What if it's pushing us to rethink how we measure value in the WNBA? Maybe it's time to expand our criteria, to look beyond just numbers or team records. Because let's face it, when a player is redefining what's possible on the court, when they're elevating their entire team, and when they're bringing new excitement to the game, that's valuable. That's MVP material. Now picture this. You're the new kid on the block, surrounded by players who've never even sniffed an Olympic team. That's Caitlin Clark's reality. How does she stack up against MVPs with all-star teammates? Let's talk about the team Clark's playing for. The Indiana Fever, they had the worst record in the WNBA last season. No Team USA players, no big stars. It's like Clark's playing with one hand tied behind her back. Compare that to a team like the Las Vegas Aces. They're stacked with Team USA talent, multiple stars on one roster. It's a whole different ballgame. So when we're talking MVP, we've got to consider the context. Clark isn't just putting up insane numbers, she's doing it without the kind of support other MVP contenders have. That's like trying to win a race while carrying your whole team on your back. But here's where it gets really interesting. The MVP award, it's not always fair to newcomers or players on less popular teams. There's this unwritten rule that you've got to pay your dues before you can be in the conversation. But should that matter when someone's playing at Clark's level? Think about it. Clark's not just playing well, she's making her entire team better. The Fever are winning games now. That's the kind of impact that screams MVP. Listen to what one expert said. When you talk about most valuable, those two to me carry a little bit more weight than Asia does for the Aces. Caitlin Clark has made her teammates substantially better, and they are now winning games. That's what MVP is all about, right? It's not just about your stats. It's about how much better you make your team. And Clark, she's turning a bottom of the barrel team into contenders. But here's the thing, it's easier to look good when you're surrounded by stars. When every pass you make is to an Olympic level player, your assists look better. When you've got other scoring threats on the court, you get more open looks. Clark doesn't have that luxury. She's the main target for every defense. Everyone knows she's the one to stop, and yet she's still dominating. So when we talk about MVP, we need to think bigger. It's not just about who has the best stats on the best team. It's about who's having the biggest impact on the court, who's changing the game. Clark's doing all of this as a rookie, on a team that was at the bottom of the league last year, without any other big names to help carry the load. That's not just impressive, that's MVP level play. Alright, let's talk about why this MVP thing matters so much. Clark's case isn't just about one player getting snubbed, it's about fairness in sports. Think about it, when players don't get the recognition they deserve, it can mess with their whole career. But here's the cool part, we can actually make a difference. Our voices matter. When fans speak up, it can change how people think about players and awards. So don't be shy, share your thoughts on who deserves MVP and why. You know what's wild? We might need to rethink how we judge value in sports. Should it be all about old school stats? Or should we look at how a player really impacts their team? That's the million-dollar question. So what do you think? How should we pick the MVP? Let's keep this conversation going.